Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Abuse of Power, State in Limerick. We're coming to you live from Limerick on Friday, September 12th, 2025. Okay, the content of this video, Judge Colin Daly signed an order of possession against my property in Limerick Circuit Civil Court, and I appealed that decision. And in addition, Colin Daly refused, he put a 4-month stay on the order, and he refused to extend that stay until the to coincide with the High Court hearing. This video today is the it's what basically happened in the High Court. In October 2023, Colin Daly refused to extend the stay order on the order of possession that he'd affirmed, which was on appeal from the County Registrar's Court. When the matter went to the High Court, there was, I'm not sure what it was, I think it was 3 or 4 appearances. There was maybe things like call-over lists. And the High Court judge immediately fixed the date for hearing and extended the 4-month stay period that Colin Daly refused to extend to coincide with the hearing date. That was the first issue, which was really good because the order of possession could have gone live. But as it transpired, it was the role of the High Court judge to extend it. It wasn't, I shouldn't have asked Colin Daly in the first place. The procedure was wrong. Next issue is I had to seek permission from the High Court judge either to call witnesses, or to file affidavit evidence. Counsel for the other side said they would be objecting if I attempted to call AIB witnesses. And for that reason, the High Court judge, I said I would be happy to put my content down on sworn affidavit. The High Court judge then gave me permission to file my content on sworn affidavit, which was really great news because the High Court judge didn't have to do that because I didn't have a sworn affidavit at circuit court level. But when the High Court judge inquired why I didn't have a sworn affidavit evidence at circuit court level, when I explained this, I had requested the attendance of witnesses with leave of the judge in accordance with court rules to challenge the AIB content on their sworn affidavit, and that witness summons was dismissed in my absence. The judge was kind, and the judge let me give me a number of weeks to file my affidavits, which I did. We then returned to the High Court, and the judge fixed a date for hearing. And that hearing was the 2nd of July, 2024, which is just over 1 year ago, because we're now in September 25. This is what happened in the High Court. The hearing opened, and counsel for the other side just gave a little brief outline of the hearing. That this matter had gone on for 10 years, and I think they outlined whatever the arrears were or the loan was sold. I'm not really certain what. It's very brief. Then the judge gave me an opportunity to make an opening, we'll call it statement or content, whatever you want to call it. I said, Judge, this is basically what's happened. I said, on the 11th of February 2022, Judge Colin Daly at Limerick Circuit Civil Court gave me permission to request the attendance to summons 3 AIB employees to Limerick Circuit Civil Court. He fixed a date for hearing, which was in exactly 6 weeks' time. He checked with the court clerk. He found out the next available date for hearing. He said to me, you should summons us straight away, which I did. I did exactly as he had asked. I then said on week 5, a Dublin-based solicitor by the name of Siobhan Kane, employed by Joint and Crawford Law Firm, filed an untruthful sworn affidavit, where in paragraph 6 of that affidavit, she was instructed by Limerick-based barrister Anita Finucane, who was present in the courtroom in front of Judge Colin Daly on the 11th of February, as to the direction that Judge Colin Daly gave. The untruthful content in the affidavit stated that the defendant, Mr. Hayes, was given permission to make an application to seek permission to call witnesses, as opposed to calling summonses witnesses directly. That was untruthful, that was false. I then said to the High Court judge that Joint and Crawford Law Firm and/or Anita Finucane or somebody on their instruction covertly went behind Judge Colin Daly's back and they removed these proceedings, this application, from Judge Colin Daly's hearing list, and they put it before another judge a Judge Comerford on foot of the untruthful sworn affidavit. And I then went on to say that the loan was then sold at just over half price by AIB Mortgage Bank to the vulture fund Severus. It was sold at 57 cents on the euro, and that the loan wasn't sold because of the mortgage arrears crisis, nor was it sold because European banking regulatory supervisory authorities are pressuring banks to reduce their performance of non-performing loans. This loan was sold to evade having to comply with the witness summons that was correctly issued. And I said to the judge, I said, there's a really big difference between a judge giving leave to a defendant to summon witnesses, as opposed to a judge saying to the defendant, well, you need to make a second application, you need to get permission to seek these witnesses. And the High Court judge said, I know there is. That's very serious. So now the High Court judge was aware of the actions of Joyton Crawford law firm, Anita Finucane, Shabela Kane, and the AIB employees. And the whole hearing kind of turned in my favour. He said, that's very serious. So the key point here is that the same content was presented to two judges. The content was originally presented to Colin Daly at Limerick Circuit Court level, and Colin Daly turned around and said, you seem to have a very good memory, and pretty much dismissed my review of the witness summons, and also went on and dealt with the substantial proceedings, the order of possession, when I had no advance notice, no witnesses, no sworn affidavits, no sight of the booklet of pleadings. So the key point here, the same content produced to two different judges was the two polar opposite responses. The next thing I said to the judge was that I was confident of placing a funding option in place in a certain time period. The judge then said I would be disposed to that. I was subsequently granted my funding option. I was given the time to put funding in place, and thankfully no order of costs were put against me. So the whole process fizzled out after almost 10 years. But things went to my favour, so I'm really thrilled. The difficulty with this is that an allegation of judicial misconduct was made against Judge Colin Daly. The Judicial Council responded because of Section 53, subsection 3 of the Judicial Council Act 2019. They simply didn't have the remit to investigate, or the authority to investigate, the actions of Judge Colin Daly once a remedy was available on appeal to the High Court. Now, where this leaves us was the remedy was granted in the High Court because I lodged an appeal to the High Court. Judge Colin Daly's orders were subsequently quashed, and I basically got what I was looking for. But because Judge Colin Daly's orders were quashed on pretty much opening statements, the content of the application wasn't heard. So why didn't I deliver my content to the High Court judge and step through the various steps of what Anita Finucane, Shabela Kane, Joyton Crawford, and Judge Colin Daly had done? When a court order of possession was signed by the County Registrar in Limerick Circuit Civil Court, I had an automatic right of appeal to the judge of the Circuit Court. When the Circuit Court judge in Limerick, Colin Daly, signed the order, reaffirmed the order of possession, I had an automatic right of appeal to the High Court. However, this now changes. If a High Court judge signed an order, upheld the order of possession against my property, I didn't have an automatic right of appeal to the Court of Appeal. I would have had to have sought permission from a judge to make that application, and that permission might have been granted, and that was a chance I couldn't take, because the judge would have realised in court that I came into court looking for a time period to put a funding option in place, and the judge granted that time period and granted the funding option and granted my solution. Now, if I'd have started going on about the judge's colleagues or the legal profession, that judge could have changed their mind, and because I didn't have an automatic right to appeal, it was basically a chance at it would have been foolish, ridiculous to chase it, you know. Okay, so where does this leave us? The content of this sequence of videos, it hasn't been examined. The question remains is, when Judge Colin Daly in Limerick was made aware that an allegation of perjury had taken place contrary to the Criminal Justice Perjuries Act by a Dublin-based law firm and a Limerick-based barrister, he simply replied, "You seem to have a very good memory," but he didn't investigate anything. So the question remains about Judge Colin Daly, and I'm not fixating on him, by the way. Did Judge Colin Daly turn a blind eye in open court to the criminal act of perjury committed by a Dublin-based law firm and a Limerick-based barrister? The answer to that question is unknown. We don't know whether he did or didn't. But what we can say with certainty is that it's a definite possibility that he did. Now, judges, as a group of people, are meant to be above suspicion. Judge Colin Daly is not above suspicion in this instance. In fact, his actions are highly, highly suspicious. And highly suspicious, and that's really it. Yeah, that's I think that's the content of this. That's what happened in the High Court. My appeal was successful, and excuse me, that was pretty much the end of the hearing. We're coming to the end of this series of videos because I've got the content out there. There's going to be 1 or 2 more videos. Next week is going to be the scenario. And by the scenario, I mean I'm going to put all the pieces together, and we're going to see, can we evidence what has likely happened, and that'll be next week's video. So thanks very much for watching, and please read the disclosures at the beginning of this video. Remember, the content of this is from my sworn affidavit evidence, which sworn affidavit evidence, and also my allegation misconduct to the Judicial Council about Colin Daly. So all the content here, all sides have got access to it. And that's really it. And 12 minutes. So we'll see you all next week. And if you like the content, you might want to hit the subscribe button, or you can also hit the like button. And I think that's it. Right, we'll see you all next week, and thank you for tuning in.